What up, Asian Not Asian listeners? We're having another Hack City live comedy show. It's at Union Hall in Brooklyn on Saturday, August 21st at 7:30 p.m. Get tickets by visiting AsianNotAsianPod.com or check the link in this episode's description. See you there.
Like, if I like you both, I don't care. You're adults. You fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I just think it's so rude to like put that on other people. You know what I mean? I'm not in charge of the way you handled your shit. And welcome back to another episode of Asian Not Asian Podcast, the podcast where two Asian guys not from Asia talk about American issues no American cares about. I'm your host, Fumi Abe.
And I'm Mike Nguyen.
Today is Saturday, July 31st. Coming at you from, once again, all over
the fucking country, biatch.
That's how we do it, baby. We're international. If you're listening to this on your phones right now, please take a screenshot and post it on Instagram stories. Tag us at Asian Not Asian Pod on Instagram. That really helps get the word out. We're a completely independent podcast. Nobody loves us, and you're the only people who love us, and you're the only people who can make us as big as Joe Rogan. Okay, it's our fate is in your hands.
Yeah, I want to eat elk meat. And,
yes.
you know, do DMT or whatever, whippets or whatever the fuck he's up into. You know, that sounds tight, you know?
That sounds so tight, and you can get us there. And again, if you're an iPhone listener, you can also leave a review. That also really helps. And we're also fully live on YouTube. We've got a video version of this podcast on YouTube, so please rate, like, and subscribe.
Yep.
Whatever people say.
You
Just
can
search Asian,
do the whole thing. You can check out my cool fits. You know, I'm legendary, so...
Yeah, Mike is actually coming at you live from San Francisco today.
I used to live in the Bay for a long time. Love the Bay Area. I did a show yesterday, and some anals came out. And thank you so much for anyone who came out and supported the show. It was it was really nice. A bunch of you came up and said hi, and we took some pictures and shit like that. And let me tell you, okay, it's just so nice to have. I'm going to say it. Minions, okay? Minions. The power. Yes. I drink your youth and I stay youthful. No, it's really nice because, you know, when you go to a city and, you know, you're at a comedy show and you're saying hi to all these other comedians, you know, some of those comedians I knew, you know, so shouts to Abhay and folks, but a bunch of those people don't know who I am. And they're just like, you know, they were nice, but they don't know who I am. And then later on, when I get up on the show and I'm like, hey, where are all the Asian, not Asian fans at? And like 20 or 30 people are like, woo, you know, that says something, you know? It's like, yo, this guy's what's up. And people were coming up and saying hi. And I was just flexing with my minions. Do my bidding.
Mike gets so turned on by, respect, you know, all you want is some respect from the goddamn scene and the world.
Dude, this is what I mean. Somebody was asking me about, you know, how do people like get on Netflix and how do people do that? And I was telling them, really, what we're trying to do. There's two things we're doing, and I think one of the things we're pretty good at, and the other one we're not as good at. One of them is to be funny, and I think we're funny, and we grind on doing that. The other thing is to get famous. Okay.
Yes.
However you can. TikTok, OnlyFans, punch a cop in the face and get that go viral. Whatever it takes. That's how you have to get famous, and that's such a big deal. So, shouts to all the fans out there who are supporting us, and you know, Fumi and I will be out there to dominate the San Francisco scene at some point, and we'll do shows and all that stuff. It'll be great.
Yes, we'll be out there, West Coast soon, anals. Just be patient. Before we get to the story of the week, we got to do our Patreon shout out. If you don't know what Patreon is, it is the best way to support the podcast. We are a completely independent podcast. Even though a network reached out to this week, Mike, I got to have a call with them next week.
I saw that.
We talked to them before. Do you remember?
Have we? No. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
a long time ago. But we weren't anybody, so they were they were gonna give us a shitty deal.
Oh,
so
look
like,
at
no.
that.
Yeah.
I'm petting a cat. So you have come back then.
Yeah.
Say,
well.
well. And then they're like, actually, we're not interested. No, wait, please.
Yeah. Don't leave. Anyways, yeah, you can support us financially by giving us a donation on a monthly basis, anywhere from $5 to $50, whatever you want to give us. And in return, you get a shout out on the podcast where we try to guess your ethnicity based on your last name. We slide into your DMs. You can pitch race news. You can do all kinds of stuff. We get bonus episodes. So please check that out at patreon.com/Asian-not-Asian-pod. The link to this is also in our Instagram bio link. We're getting a lot of Patreons, so please be patient with your shout outs. We're probably about a week or two behind. So if you donated yesterday and you're like, where the fuck is my fucking shout out?
Yep.
Fucking relax.
Just
buddy.
chill, buddy.
Okay, it's $5.
$5.
Chill. We'll get to you.
Or $10 or whatever.
So here we go. We got 4 new people this week. The first person, this is not her real name. It's Clitty Cat.
Okay. Chinese.
Yeah. No explanation.
Nope. No, we're not going to even say anything
Chinese.
else. Clitty Cat.
Yep.
That's a classic Han Chinese name. No
Yep.
more. Nothing needs to be said.
Next, we have Glenn M.
Glenn is such a
it's hard.
It's such a white guy name, I want to say it's a white guy, but I can't be sure. I want to say it's a white guy, but like an older, like a 50s white guy.
Wait, but wasn't Steven Yeun's character from The Walking Dead named Glenn?
That's what I'm saying. Is like you want someone. I don't think there's. I can't imagine an Asian person named Glenn. No way. Nope. Kevin, yes. Tony, maybe. Glenn, no. This guy's a white dude.
So
he's a white dude, and he's barbecuing, and he's wearing cargo shorts. Shouts to you, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn.
Good luck with that above ground pool, by the way. Next we have Will Liu, spelled Lieu.
I want to say Chinese too. What do you think?
That's Chinese.
Yeah.
Then we have. Oh, this one's interesting. This person's last name is Chan, which seems easy, but first name Peteria. I've never heard that. Is that a real name? It's Peter, but with an IA at the end.
I always say this. Chinese people, they'll throw you for a loop sometimes. They'll have a name like I knew someone who their name was True. I knew someone their name was just like a color once. I've met like a pink before, for sure. Edison, and Edison. So Peteria, this is a Chinese lady. She goes to the patisserie all the time. Just a good old Chinese lady.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm imagining like a middle-aged Chinese lady whose parents his parents wanted to assimilate their kid, but was also like a big fan of like Latin culture and or Santana, and was like Peteria. Yeah. Okay, so you're like a Spanish fan Asian.
Yeah,
we love
I like that.
We love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for donating. And again, if you want to get in on this game and want to shout out, please go to patreon.com/Asian-not-Asian-pod. Moving on to story of the goddamn week.
So I'm calling in from San Francisco, and I was like, hey, let's do this show early because I got stuff to do. And Fumi told me last night, he's like, I don't want to do too early, bro, because I'll be out. Okay, you had. And I want to make a real clear for the fans. You threw this while I was not in town. Classic Fumi move. You had your going away party. I guess we had a going away with your goodbye show, so that was cool. But you had your going away party. And how was it?
So I don't like to do things like this. I don't like to throw birthday parties. I don't like to do going away parties because it gives me a lot of anxiety for multiple reasons. One, I have always compartmentalized my friends, and I don't like mixing them. I don't like mixing my friends from work with my friends from the restaurant I used to work at, with my college friends, with my comedy friends. That just in it of itself gives me a lot of anxiety because I feel like I have to babysit everybody. You got to go from place to place, see how they're all doing, making sure they're all comfortable. Yeah,
and shit. Interesting.
Yeah. But then I've talked to my therapist and with Maria about just that side of me because that comes out a lot. In my life, the compartmentalization thing, and they're always like, you know what, they're adults, like they can handle themselves. You don't need to be anxious about babysitting them. But then what ended up happening was exactly what I said it was gonna fucking happen, because I go there and I go outside and I made a table for like 15 people. I connected like 3 tables together, kind of like a beer garden. I was like, we can all sit here.
Where was this at?
Nope. This is at Mika Bar
Oh,
in
that's
Bushwick.
right.
Yeah, which is a really cool like Japanese sake bar. So everybody go check that out if you're in New York City. And I make this big table for us, but all my friends just started forming cliques and then started sitting at their own tables.
What? Oh shit.
Yeah, not because they didn't like each other. I just didn't think like. I don't know, the way it was set up, maybe I did it wrong, but they just started, it really felt like a middle school dance.
Yeah.
Like you walk out, you know,
You're the principal.
The goths over here, and I'm the principal, and I'm literally making rounds. I'm like, I really felt like, have you been to a wedding, and you know, the groom and the bride has to say hi to everybody.
Just saying hi.
And you know, I wanted, and in a weird way, the goodbye party I had with you and the Hack City folks on Wednesday was like more intimate because I felt like I really like, because it was only like 10 people, and 4 of them were like my good comedian friends, and I felt like we had real conversations and we had like a funny time.
That was great.
This one, I felt like because I was making my rounds, I didn't really get to talk to anybody about anything real.
Right.
And
you're just like, hey,
really,
okay, wow, thanks for coming. Yeah.
I didn't have any real conversations, and it like really felt empty.
Shit.
And so that was like, I don't know, it was like annoying, you know, like I it didn't feel like a goodbye party at all. It really felt like I was showing off my friends, but for who? I don't know.
It's like a, okay.
Yeah, and I think like part of throwing events in your 30s is, you know, obviously there's the mixing of friends, but like, I don't know if it's just my life or other people go through this. I just kind of invited people who I wanted to see. Some people I've only known for like 3 months, but they were Japanese, and then I was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of Japanese friends, so why don't you get your ass over here?
Yeah.
You know?
So hold on. So lay the scene for me here. So you invited some comedy friends.
I invited some comedy friends, but not a lot.
Not a lot.
You know.
Okay.
They were mainly friends from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it was comedy friends, it was friends from NYU, and it was friends from this restaurant I used to work at when I was in college called Ippudo, and I still stay in touch with a lot of those people. So those were like the 3 main groups of people.
Yeah. Okay. And they were making their clicks, and they were doing that.
Clicks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Word. And okay, keep going. Okay. So you're walking. You're a principal. You got your bunch of keys. You got your megaphone. You're trying to you know, maintain peace between the goths and the jocks.
Yeah.
Shit's
like
happening.
I'm asking people not to grind.
Yeah, no grinding, but have fun, kids.
Grinding.
Yeah.
But I also like am trying to be more. I've been working on this anxiety for myself. You know, I'm trying to like just let things be because I need to I can't control my friends. They have their own bodies and their own minds, and they're all adults, and they just need to do what they want to do. So I just invited people I want to see, right? But what I found out is that a couple people I invited have beef with each other. A couple, not just one. You probably know the one, but there were others. And
hold on here. Is this like, in your comedy group?
One was in my comedy group, but then like the other ones weren't. The comedy group one, actually, they were fine.
Whoa.
There was, there's, obviously a comedian that we liked that they dated and they broke up and it didn't end well and they don't like each other anymore.
I got it.
So there's that. But that was fine. They both came and they did their own thing.
Okay.
But like, I guess I had other friends who like had beef with some other people I invited from like the restaurant, and like one person didn't even come.
What?
She texted me like a long thing and was like, hey, I can't go. Like I don't know why I invited her. Like you've barely known her or whatever. They had beef and then come, and I was just like I was annoyed because here I am. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, trying to throw this goddamn party. Okay, I don't even like doing this, and I do this, and people are like, "No, why are you doing it this way?" And I'm sorry to say this, as a 31-year-old, like I don't care about anybody else's beef. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll happily invite 2 divorcees. I don't give a fuck. Like if I like you both, I don't care. You're adults. You fucking figure it out. I don't care. You know, and like I just think it's so rude to like put that on other people. You know what I mean? I'm not in charge of the way you handled your shit.
Don't pull me into your beef. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know, like
it's a big bar. There's different spaces. You don't have to talk to each other. Like you fucking figure that out.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because I thought that when you were kind of like telling me this before the show started that this was all going to be like comedy beef, because for me all the beef that I know about is in comedy. Because comedians are immature and psychos, and they're always just like, well, I don't like this guy because one time he didn't say hi to me at an open mic. And I'm like that too. You know, if I have beef with someone, it's definitely another comedian because we're fucking stupid artists, and that's the thing. Yeah. With like regular people, I forgot. Of course, I didn't forget
they have
that.
feelings too, you know?
Yeah, like regular people also But I always thought that, like, hey, regular people are gonna be mature about it. Listen, we don't like this thing, but let's come together for the good of Fumi. Okay, what I'm saying? He's our child, and we gotta have his birthday party, and we're gonna do this thing. And listen, I know you're seeing you got remarried, but you know what? I'm gonna have to suck it up and do this for that. But so to me, it's like, wow. I'll be completely honest too. I kind of like beef, especially when it's not related to me. I remember one time I went to like a New Year's Eve party. We're all hanging out and stuff like that. And, it's like one of those parties where it's like, I knew the people who were throwing it and then like their friends. But then there was like like a friend of a friend of a friend. And one of those guys was like, this party sucks. I'm getting out of here. And then he started getting into a fight with one of my other friends. And they were like, man, why are you being like this? And we're like in our 30s, right? So it's very rare for like 30-year-olds to like get the energy to fight each other, So for me, I was like, this is awesome. Oh man, I haven't, this is really making my New Year's. Thank you so much for doing this. This is like dinner and a show, So this is like Shakespeare for me. Yes. Call an Uber angrily. Yes. Storm out of here. Yeah. Long text. Hit me with the long text.
I had no idea that you're a messy bitch who lives with drama.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm that one meme with the cat that's sitting behind the table. Oh, that's me. I strive to be that. So you had this beef happening. Was there? It didn't resolve in any other way? It's just kind of
because it would have gotten all entertainment vibes if they had both shown up, but the one girl didn't show up because I told her that this other. I wasn't actually gonna tell people in the beginning, but then like I was taking a poop and I was like, maybe I should. Is that a dick move? I should probably tell them, and they can do whatever they want with that information.
Right.
So I told them, but you know what? I'll be honest. It like kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth, and but maybe in a weird way, this is the most New York goodbye. New York is a fucking messy place.
A bitter,
and people. New York is also. I've said it on the podcast. New York is also Neverland in that people don't grow up. People don't have to grow up here.
Yes,
you get a lot of 45-year-old dudes acting like they're 19.
Yes,
I'm not saying right. And to me, this was an example of that. It's like you are like 31. Like, what do you can't just come say hi? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like,
right.
This is not high school. You slept with my boyfriend. Blah blah blah. This is not high school. And so it was like, I don't know. I just kind of. It didn't really. I mean, it was kind of annoying for a second, but I was like too busy being a principal, so I didn't even get to really be angry about it. But maybe it was the most the ultimate New York ending to my New York journey.
It is. Just one last disrespectful thing to happen to you before you left.
Yeah.
Because in LA, people be if there's beef, they'll come up to each other, they'll still kiss each other. You look wonderful, blah blah, and then they'll talk shit about each other after the fact. But here in New York,
stories.
We're subtweeting each other. We're fucking not showing up to people's goodbye parties. Oh man. I'm upset. Okay, I was upset before. I wasn't that upset that you had this party when I wasn't there. But now I'm upset that I missed this drama because I love watching shit like that. And I don't know. I don't understand exactly what kind of drama. If it's like a kind of a fun one girl's boyfriend slept with the other girl or some shit like that, because that would be real juicy. Or if it was like some something more serious. I hope it's more the former, because then oh man, I would have ordered popcorn for everybody. And I love that. I mean, here's the thing. I've been trying to work this as a joke, but I sometimes am not into Netflix shows because I don't need Netflix if I have friends in their 20s. Because the decisions they make
it's so chaotic,
way more insane than anything that a screenwriter could write for Netflix. Okay, there's just the intensity of bad decisions made and the follow through with those bad decisions is. Mwah! Oh, thank you so much, young people, for reminding me that I don't. Yeah, I mean, this kind of like brings up the next thing we were going to talk about. So because because Fumi is going to LA, and just so people know, because I've gotten a lot of questions about this, we're still doing the podcast. I'm doing the podcast right now. Yes. I'm sitting in my hotel room. Fumi is God knows where. We did a podcast last week. I can say this now because it'll have been out, but with Randall Park. The dude was in London. Fumi was riding a dolphin in Hawaii. And I was, in New York City. So we can still do the podcast forever. We're not going anywhere because this is, I don't know if I think Fumi would agree. This is the most important thing that has ever happened to our careers, this podcast.
Yes, 100%.
By far. And it is.
We don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice
but to keep
We
this
really
going.
don't. Really don't. We have a court order to continue going. The Fifth Circuit judge was like, "Oh, you will continue doing these, at a rate of 50 per year."
I could murder Mike's family, and he'll be like, "We're gonna have to talk about this on the podcast.
Hey,
I don't like what you did."
Hey, I love drama. I love drama. And when you stabbed, my dad, whew, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna let you have it on the podcast, buddy." Anyways, so Fumi is going to LA, but absolutely nothing is changing. Okay, like as far as the podcast goes, and a matter of fact, it'll be good because we're sort of like moving on to doing other kinds of shows and that kind of thing. So to that point, I have tasked myself with like trying to come up with other kinds of comedy shows besides Hack City, the stand-up show, which is great and that's continuing. But like I'd like to, we'd like to have another kind of fun talk show. We've done live podcasts before, and so I went to this really awesome show, and I've been going to like all these really hot comedy shows in New York City, and they're all a lot of them are starting to come back. So there's one, and it's run by this amazing comedian Mary Beth Barone, who we'll have on the show at some point. And the show is called Drag His Ass. It's like in so many ways like the opposite of our show, because it's Mary Beth Barone, she calls herself America's stepdaughter, which is like, if you check her out, she's very funny, and she has like cool, mean bitch girl vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The girl in school who you were like, oh my gosh, she's so mean, I hate her. And at the same time, you're crying because you can't be friends with her. Yeah. The crowd is like 50% young white women. I would say, Soul Cycle level, like 25-year-olds, just moved to the city, super excited to make a mess of their lives, get into drama, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
25% their gay friends, right? 25% sort of other, like a mix of like straight dudes and some random people of color who were there and are maybe a little lost, right? And then 0.05% middle-aged Vietnamese men, aka me, right? And I was talking to my DJ friend, and my DJ friend said that ratio is the ideal ratio for a good time. That's really what you want. You want as little straight basic dudes like myself there as possible. You want a couple, to just be like the weirdo in the corner, but mainly you want like hot young people, hot young queer energy, and the show is really like that. It's that Mary Beth does her thing. She like talks about like fuckboys. It's kind of like it's almost kind of like a dating show.
Thing.
Yeah, it's a dating thing. They talk a lot about dating. Dude, there's so many hilarious things. First of all, I get there. I am easily I'm like older than the bartenders, older than the people running the club. I'm older than everybody. Right? I get in there, and there's only like, I wanted to sit down because I'm old, and there was one seat, and I sit there, and I go up there, and I'm like, hey, can I sit down here? And she like, of course, the cool girl was like, whatever, sit down. And I'm just sitting there, and I realize when you're there and you stick out like me when I so don't belong there, everything I do is creepy. If I laugh too much, you know what I'm saying? If I laugh too much, creepy. If I don't laugh, creepy. If I clap, creepy. If I don't clap, creepy. Like it's a weird situation.
Right. If you woo too much, it's like, oh, do you like her outfit or something? You fucking old man. You know what I mean?
And I wanted to be like, no, you guys don't understand. I'm a comedian doing research, which is even worse. And I'm like trying to take notes. Everything I do is like by definition so lame, and it's hilarious. At one point in the show, I guess this is something that she does. So, she kind of introduces herself and like to kind of like get the vibe going. It's a great vibe already. Like there's a lot of good energy, but she goes and she goes, all right, everybody, hug the person next to you. Hug the person next to you. She does this. Yeah. So for this one, because COVID, she was like, okay, hug the people you came with. So everyone is hugging around me, and I'm just like sitting there, just like
you're alone.
I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Like trust me, I don't want to. I do want to be there because I was having a good time. But like, I get it. Hey, I'm lame. I suck. Okay, like, but I'm just like, oh my God, who's gonna hug me? Please don't. You don't have no. And
Yeah.
It was weird,
yeah.
but it was just I want that for us. Like what is the Asian people who are product managers who have a little bit of Bitcoin. What is that for us? You know what I'm saying? So that I don't feel like a total weirdo. You wrote in here, I have a real self-image problem and it's hilarious.
Well, I feel like you always do this thing where like if you go to a show, and it's not even a race thing, I feel like you go to like any project or a thing that any of our friends have, our peers have. That's something that they've created, and it's better than what you have, or maybe you think that maybe it's better. Maybe there's an element of not jealousy, but like, wow, I want to do something. Like that, I think you always go like, well, I can't do that because I'm lame. And you always do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, well, first of all, it's hilarious because you say that, but that you also buy like $5,000 hats. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes you really. I have no idea. Like sometimes I get like mixed messaging from you. It's so funny because I feel like you're only cocky when you're with me. Like you think you're very cool when you're with me, but when I see you in front of other people, you act like me. You're like a little schmuck. And
a schmuck.
You're a little schmuck. You turn into like a little Jewish man. You like turn into you're like a little Asian Woody Allen. I'm like, you know what? I didn't need to sit like this, and I'm sure, of course, I'd love to hug, but I didn't come with anybody, and of course another producer, but she's over there working.
I felt uncomfortable.
You're like an Asian Woody Allen.
That was not the Woody Allen part, but being called a schmuck is probably one of the nicest things anyone has ever said to me. I've always wanted to be. Am I wearing my Odeon hat? Yeah, dude. I'm all about being like a weird New Yorker now.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah,
because I feel like people you're not the only one who says that. I've done that sometimes. People just generally shit on themselves, but I feel like because it's like always easier to be like, oh, I can't do it because I'm lame.
Yeah,
I don't belong here, because it's like an easy escape. And also like maybe it is a race element. I always think like, I think you have a cool job, you have cool clothes, you have a beautiful wife, but you always like, I feel like you think none of it is enough, and I always think that if you're a white guy, you'd have like 3 wives by now. And I'm not saying 2 divorced wives, just 3 hot wives. Like you would own, you know what I mean? Like the confidence. Like if a white guy had what you had a really cool advertising job.
Oh, I see.
Had like We're Supreme, and like did art, did like comedy on the side.
Oh,
like,
I see.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like
You're so right.
The amount of confidence this guy would exude would be so fucking annoying. You know what I mean? But you don't have any of that. You're allowed to be annoying, but you don't do it. You just go, I'm lame.
Because deep down, man, I'm still like that weird 6th grader that nobody would ask to dance at the square dance, dude. Okay,
my boy just shut a do-si-do.
Yo, dude, I'm carrying that trauma for the rest of my fucking life, bro. Okay, that's me, and I layer on all the coolness in order to hide that. So.
Well, you know me, Mike. You know me, right?
I know.
If you know this, if you know anything about me, that I'm out there.
Yes. You're out there.
I'm out there pounding, and a lot of people are like, "Fumi, why are you so good at pounding?" And by a lot of people,
I always ask that. I don't even believe you.
By a lot of people, I just mean Mike. The secret is, it is Helix Sleep Mattress. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that will be perfect for the way you sleep and pounding.
Everybody's unique and pounds uniquely, and Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, and firm. Wink, wink. Mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you get hot. And even a Helix Plus mattress for plus size sleepers, because hey man, everybody needs love.
Just go to helixsleep.com/Asian. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to the customized mattress that will give you the best sleep/pound of your life.
They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for free for 100 nights, risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will.
Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helix.com/Asian.
That's helix.com/Asian for up to $200 off. And when you're doing your threesomes, 2 free pillows.
Now back to this.
I want to say this before we move on real quick, is that I was listening to this, and there's a portion where in the show she just like solicits stories from people about, tell me like something that happened to you that some fuckboy did, right? And for people who don't know what a fuckboy is because they work at Deloitte or whatever, a fuckboy is someone who's like, a rapscallion man, a trifling dude.
Oh my God. You're dead. Okay, you are lame. I lied. I was trying to cheer you up. You are lame. What the
rapscallion
man? It's
man.
just a guy. It's like a bro who's emotionally unavailable and like does like triggering things to women. Like doesn't text them back, only hit you up for a booty call.
Exactly.
Just like a guy who doesn't have his shit together, but kind of hot. So you're
kind of hot, and you're into
gray
it.
area. Yeah, you're into it. Yeah.
So Mary Beth Barone like solicited these stories, and like there's a lot of people there, and so like a couple of women shared their stories. I don't remember all of them, but I remember each one being, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened." Give
me some examples.
Okay, I think one of them was the girl. She went out on a date with someone, and this is in the height of the pandemic, and so they had to go outside, and it was like in winter, and then the guy went to the date. This is outside, and they're and she talks about how she dresses cute, and I was like, I totally relate to that girl. Like, you gotta look cute. Yeah. And she goes to this date, and it's outside. It's outside. It's winter in New York City, so if there's not actual snow on the ground, it's just snowed, and it's really gross. This guy showed up to the date, no shoes on.
What?
And then actually the date goes worse from there, if you could believe it. And that's one. And then there was another one where the girl was talking about how she was talking to a guy right before the pandemic, and then they had to like split up. I mean, they just separated because the pandemic, and so they were kind of like doing a lot of sexting, and then they met up at an Airbnb for like a month to kind of like hook up and just hang out. And then the pandemic sort of lifted, and so they went back to the city, and he was like all into her, like doing all asking her to like, oh, we're gonna go to my friend's wedding and all these things, and then and then like 24 hours later was just like, you know what, I need to work on myself, bye. So
whoa,
yeah, so and
that guy definitely jerked off between that 24 hour span.
So it's just like the situations that you get into as like a young person is in hindsight, we were just talking about drama, right, Fumi? And I think one thing you do in your 30s is like you see drama coming from far away, and you just you just step out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Like if some guy, like either that means like you're not on the dating apps, you're like cutting it off before it even happens, which kind of helps you. But at the same time, hey, then it gets kind of boring because then you're hanging out with your friends and you don't have a story about how this guy showed up with no shoes on. So like I see the appeal. And I was listening to these stories, and I was like, Mary Beth is commenting on it. Her like really cool gay friend is commenting on it. Very funny. And I was like, you know what they need? They need some basic Asian guy energy up in here. Okay, we're gonna come at this in a very measured way. Okay, we've got data analysts on one side.
Yes,
we've got creative person, advertising messaging guy expert on the other side. And I think we could help these white girls.
So you left that show being like, I gotta help these.
I gotta help them.
Michaelas.
I gotta help them because listen, I don't think I've ever done anything as chaotic as that. But I've been in my 20s, and now I'm out the game. I'm like the NFL commentator. I used to be on the field, and now I understand. I've got the coach mentality of like, hey, you know what? You're starting to see this play develop. Okay, this is how you squash that play. All right, you take out the you block the running lane. And now all of a sudden, the fuckboy can't fuck with you anymore.
You ever seen that movie, Blindside?
Yeah.
When all those like white savior movies?
Yes.
Where like the white savior helps like a poor black athlete. Yeah. It's like us, but with white girls. we're like two stable Asian men, and we just want to help young white girls like stop fucking around with these Tylers. Why don't you try a Min-soo from he's a graduate student from Korea. It's very handsome.
It's like how in Kill Bill the bride goes up and trains kung fu with that like kung fu guy. That's me. Except I'm not training you in kung fu. I'm training you in love. Okay, not in that way, but you know what I'm saying, in relationships. You know.
So if there are any white girls listening, please, DM us and we can charge by the hour, and we can give you some love consulting.
Yeah,
love
there you
consulting.
go. There you go.
With Fumi and Mic. I just went to Hawaii.
Yes.
And that when I go to Hawaii, I come back with some introspective thoughts. Hawaii makes me think, and that's why I like going. Okay.
I know.
Hawaii gets me to think.
I mean,
love it.
trust me,
I love
okay?
it.
I have some friends who have gone to Hawaii, and they're always talking about how they're Hawaiians now, and I'm like, yo, you were there for like 6 months, okay? But they're just like, oh, it's so different. I was like, okay, all right, okay. So continue with your Hawaii story.
Okay, this is such a small. This is such a small thing, but it really meant a lot to me. And it happened last time I was there, and I didn't know how to vocalize it last time, but it really crystallized this time. I think one of the reasons why I like going to Hawaii is because I feel like if you're an Asian person in this world, in this country, there are very few places in this world you can go where people just assume you're from there. You know what I mean? Where like, I could be in Japan.
Word.
People know I'm not from there because I have a different haircut and I just wear different clothes. And, the way I walk, the way I smile, they can tell I'm not from there. And with America, I grew up in Ohio. Nobody ever thinks I'm from there. Sometimes people would like try to make sure I spoke English first before asking me for directions or something like that, right? But in Hawaii, I got asked for directions like so many times because people just think I'm from there.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about from other tourists, like just Filipino grandmas would come up to me and be like, hey, do you know how to get to this like thing I can't pronounce because every fucking word in Hawaii has 10,000 apostrophes and has like 10,000 P's. You know? And it's a very simple thing, but I think at the end of the day, hey, you know me, I just want to belong. You know what I mean? All I want sometimes is just for someone to ask me directions. That's all I want.
Just ask me
that's
where
really
it is.
all I'm asking
I don't know,
just
but like ask me. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and that's such a small thing, but it really like sparks something in me like mentally, and I feel like just more freer when I'm in the Hawaiian Islands. And I think that's why I like going. Nobody looks at me weird. I say my name at a Starbucks, they get it right away. Just like little things like that. You know? And it's like I'm not the only Fumi they know. That's cool. It's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you the one who had the joke about like you probably can find Fumi on one of those like license plates they sell at the tourist store? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
No,
probably in Hawaii you probably could.
Yeah. Exactly.
In Hawaii you probably have a harder time finding like Bryce. But you have an easier time finding like Nobufumi or whatever.
Brikey? We don't have that. We have Masafumi. We have Tomo.
Yeah, but when I was there, I also like, last time I was just having fun. I kind of wanted to like learn a little bit more about Hawaiian history because, whatever. So I have some people who are from Hawaii and they're like, hey, make sure you like read up on the history because it's not a paradise. They always say that.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans and just people. Because I think when America took over Hawaii in 1959, by the way, didn't fucking know that. I didn't know it was so recent.
Bro, that was like last week. It's insane.
It's crazy. I guess it was just a territory before.
Right.
It wasn't just like, but still, became a state in 1959. I think since America took it over, it's been like a tourism arm of America where America makes money that way. Hey, come to Hawaii. It's paradise, right?
Yeah.
But you go there, it's not paradise. And so one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to... First of all, I'm also fucking dumb as shit. Like, I didn't know... I'm so sorry if this is offensive. I didn't know, like, Hawaiian was a race. If that makes sense. I thought... Like, I knew, like, Polynesian was a thing and, like, Micronesia and all those, like, people who were from that area. I didn't know Hawaiian is a race. So, my friends who grew up in Hawaii, they're, like, half Japanese or whatever. They don't say, I'm Hawaiian. They say, I'm from Hawaii. Because to say I'm Hawaiian is similar to saying I am Vietnamese.
Right.
So if you're a half Filipino guy who grew up in the Vietnam, you don't say you're Vietnamese. You say I'm from Vietnam.
Yeah,
right. If you grew up there, so that's something I didn't fucking know. And one of my friends was like, well, he was very offended that I didn't know that, and it was a whole thing. Anyways, he was like, why don't you go to this restaurant? They serve like traditional like authentic Hawaiian foods. It's called Helena's, but it's in like in this neighborhood. I don't remember the name. It's not the safest neighborhood. But it is kind of like a touristy spot, and you'll be fine because you're Asian. If you're white, it's not the safest place.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what he meant by that. So
I love that he got mad at you, and then he's like, you know what? Go to this place that's not safe. They'll teach you. They'll teach you, buddy.
Yeah. So I go. It's called Helena's. If there's any Hawaiian listeners, which some people are because people DM me.
Oh yeah, shouts.
They wanted to come see a show, and I'm so glad you didn't come because the show I did there was so fucking terrible. So I go to this restaurant. I take an Uber. It's like 30 minutes away from where I was staying in like the most touristy spot, and it's like in a little mall. It's like in a chain mall, and there's a huge wait, but I was alone, so I got to eat in like 10 minutes. They have really interesting things. They have they call noodles long rice.
Oh.
It's kind of like chicken noodle soup with like rice noodles in it. They have like something wrapped in like leaves, some chicken dish, some pork dish.
Sounds awesome. Yep.
They don't eat rice. They eat something called poi, which is just like they have purple potatoes in Hawaii.
Yep.
And it's just starch made from that.
Oh,
so
shit.
They don't eat traditional Hawaiian food. There's no rice. You eat poi.
Makes sense.
So it was cool. It was like cool to see. It's like, oh, and they also eat kalbi, which is interesting. I was like, this is straight up Korean, but I guess it's a Hawaiian thing too.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of is beef there, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. But it was cool to see that, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm learning a little bit. I'm learning how to pronounce these words and what they are, and I'm looking up the history and shit like that. So then I leave the restaurant, and then I go to the Walgreens to pick up some sunscreen, and I call an Uber, and my Uber driver is Japanese. He moved to Hawaii like 20 years ago, and when I get in, he's looking like real concerned. And he's like, excuse me, are you a Japanese tourist? And I was like, oh, not really. Like, I guess kind of. Like, I'm Japanese, but I like grew up in America, so I'm not like that stereotypical Japanese tourist with the camera and the hat.
Yeah.
Hawaii. And he was like, okay, because I've literally never picked up a Japanese person from this neighborhood. Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
That's so funny.
He was like really worried, and I was like, oh, you know what? My friends were saying something about that. Can you elaborate? Like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, this neighborhood is like a lot of native Hawaiians and Filipinos live here. And it's really close to this high school, which is a beautiful high school up in the hill called the Kamehameha High School.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really great school, but you can only get in if you have Hawaiian blood. You have to have 1/8 or like 10% Hawaiian blood or something like that. And I later learned that that's actually illegal in America to do that.
Right.
But because the school was funded from a will from like some Hawaiian queen or something, some Hawaiian royalty.
Okay.
That's the only way they can access the money. So what they do is sometimes they get sued.
Yeah.
But they just settle. So
whoa.
Some white kid wants to get in. They just go, no, you can't come. I'm sorry, it's racist, but here's $10,000 or whatever.
Whoa.
And I was like, isn't that kind of badass?
That's badass.
That's fucking badass.
Yo,
man.
I wish I could do that. If somebody wanted to roll up in my scene, I'd just be like, here's a check. No, come back.
Yeah.
That's thug as hell.
That's fucking gangster, dude.
That's fucking G.
It's really cool because they gotta like preserve the culture somehow. Like I totally get it, And he was saying like this area is like a lot of native people, and there's still a lot of activism happening in these neighborhoods where people are trying to take back Hawaii.
Sure,
they're and he was saying there's a lot of resentment against like Americans, white people for stealing their land.
Yep.
And he's like if you're like they usually like mug white tourists, they'll like steal their mopeds and sometimes they get beat up. And so he was like, you're probably not fine because you look like you're from here. And I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. But I was like learning about that shit, and it was I guess 1959 is so fucking recent, but like the thing is, like, in America, we rarely learn about like Black history, like real Black history, right?
Oh yeah.
So like, it's not anyone's fault that like I don't know a lot about Hawaiian history, which we should because it's part of America. But I didn't know that part. I guess it makes sense, but like that is still active today, and they'll like target white tourists because it brings up this kind of feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. I've never been to Hawaii. I'd like to go. But I mean, I don't know if you've ever been somewhere and the place is so beautiful and you almost think, wow, we fucked this place up and we should leave. I don't, you know what I'm saying? This Hawaii, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how, I haven't taken a survey of how many Hawaiians want to have their own thing, but I would imagine that it's fairly typical and for a lot of people to want to have their own country back, and they are like their own. I was reading this history guy and talking about like what is a nation, and like a lot of Native Americans and also the Hawaiians, that they're like a true nation. You know, they have they've been there forever. I mean, and I'm talking about literally forever, not like Americans.
Right.
Not like when Americans like, we've been here forever, and it's like 80 years or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? No, literally forever. We don't remember when we came here because it was that long ago. This is our land, you know? And I think people like forget about that. And I could imagine, you know, people go there and you just like get seduced by how beautiful it is and you just like want to take it, you know, but that's how awesome Hawaii. You just got, you go, oh no, this is like so nice that we should get the fuck out of here because we're
I know
this up.
It's so hard to suppress this urge of wanting to open your own Grand Hyatt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like,
you know what would be great here? Some tobacco plants and you know, a Starbucks would be awesome. No,
and the W.
Yeah. And you have to kind of like try to resist that. You know what I'm saying? Because some things don't belong to you. I was I mean, I have a friend. He was talking about how you know, he's like, he was there for a long time. And I'm talking about, again, 6 months or so during the pandemic. And then he was like, yeah, you know, I'm basically Hawaiian now. And I was like, no, buddy, careful, man. Hey, man, I have to report you to somebody for saying stuff like that.
Yeah, why don't you go eat at that restaurant?
Let's see what happens, buddy. You know,
let's go to that restaurant, buddy.
You know, I mean, Jesus Christ.
The other thing is like, you know, I was like really excited to learn about all this stuff because, you know, I love learning about history. You love history, but the difference between you and I is that you love reading and I hate reading. And so I realized most of my knowledge about the world comes from immigrant Uber drivers.
Yeah, sure.
Which like if you live in a big city, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, like I can't tell you like, you know, how many like Algerian Uber drivers have told me like France would have been a third world country without slavery or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm like little like sound bites here. You know what I mean? Like I just learned so much. And you know, another thing I learned is that like a lot of Native Hawaiian people in certain lands, they get some sort of like reparations. Like they don't have to pay rent. So like their rent is like $2 a year or something like that. Right? Not everywhere, but in certain lands. So like I was learning and learning. But the thing with Uber drivers is that this is, I think, true for a lot of Uber drivers. Immigrant Uber drivers is like when they're going off about history and like shitting on white people or whatever it is. You have to like make sure you're on a short Uber ride because if you go on too long, it will get racist, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uber driver history lessons are really cool until it gets really racist. And so this happened to me where like I was like talking to a Japanese guy and it was cool and he was like, yeah, you know, they don't have to pay rent or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Thanks for teaching me all this. And when he dropped me off, he was like, yep, and that's why brown people don't like to work. They're lazy. And I was like, God damn it. God damn it.
Fucking A. Yeah, I was in an Uber ride and the dude is you know, he's like he's Dominican and we were like driving through Williamsburg and he's like, oh man, I didn't know about there's so many Jewish people here. And the whole time I was like, okay, where's this gonna go? Which way is this gonna go? You know what I'm saying? Like where
you didn't even want to give him a chance.
You know, and I was like, is this being recorded on camera? Because like, and the whole time I'm just trying to get to like, you know, a bar, you know, and he's just like, yeah. So he didn't say anything, to his credit. He didn't say anything problematic or anything like that. But I was just like, do we want to talk about this? I was just nodding along, like, yes, they do talk funny sometimes. No, totally, you know. Yeah. So Uber. It's thank you for playing. It's a fun game. You know, racist Uber driver.
It's funny you mentioned the video because, you know, funny, a lot of Uber drivers do have cameras to protect themselves, but I feel like if any of that footage is released, like, hey, maybe that drunk girl Becky like barfed on you and maybe she needs to pay up, but if they release that footage, you're also going to find that Uber driver Kumeo who's just being super homophobic. You know what I mean? It's like a double-edged sword. I feel like it's very dangerous to tape Uber drivers. You know what
you need to do, though, is you need to have your own camera on you. You know what I'm saying? When you take Uber, you should be like how like cops wear body cams? You should wear a body cam so that if some tape comes out, you got it from your angle. You know, we should also all be taping each other. And say, hey, listen, when he was talking about how he doesn't like Hasidic Jews, I didn't say that. You know, he said that, as you can see from the body cam footage. All right, I was just trying to get to the bar, as you see.
Wow, is this a sequel to Race Timer called Race Camera?
Yo, Race Camera, prove that you're not problematic, and you have the camera on. You're like, all right, well, no problem. Let's go to the body cam footage. As you can see, I'm just taking shots with my girls. Okay, they're the ones who are racist. I was just like, ha ha ha, and I left at that point. That's that's admissible in court, I would tell you.
And the last thing I wanted to talk about, I think a lot of times our listeners enjoy us talking about careers and being a student. Hey, we are Asian American at the end of the day. And I was talking to, I was visiting a friend there, a good friend of mine from school.
Yeah.
And she works at like a tech company and she's very successful now. But she was one of this came up because she was going through some sort of, not depression, but she was like a little anxious because she's my age, she's 31, but she felt that her net worth was $0 as of like, I don't know, whenever COVID started, because she paid off all of her student loans.
Okay.
And that was giving her anxiety. She's like, I make this much money, I work at this company, how is it that my net worth is zero? And she had to pay like, she went to NYU with me, so she owed, as you can imagine, she owed a lot of money.
Sure.
And she paid all of it off in like 12 years, which is like it was a lot of money, and I think to do that in 12 years is quite amazing.
Yeah.
But I when she told me that, I said I didn't know that you had so much debt, because from what I've seen on Instagram and just from like hanging out with you, you always gave off this vibe that actually you were quite wealthy. Like this person like lived alone in New York, was going to the Hamptons with her bosses, like traveling to Japan and like just doing all kinds of like cool stuff, And she was telling me that she did that for two reasons. One, just because she had student loans didn't mean that she wanted to just waste her 20s, like just being stingy and like not stingy, but like being frugal. I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people go, no, I have like so much student loans, I can't go to France. Sorry. And then you realize that and you're like fucking 40 years old. You know what I mean? And she was like, I think there's something about youth. And she was like, that's what's important to me. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But the second reason, what I thought was really interesting, is she was saying like she's also Asian, but she's kind of like, she has sort of like tapped into and she's like one of the good Asians. I think she's on the right side. She's not like one of those Asian girls who are like, I don't like Asians or whatever it is. She kind of like tapped into white corporate America in a way that I think a lot of Asian Americans are trying to do. And that's what I mean by that, is like being able to sort of hang with them.
Yeah.
She spent money like going to the Hamptons and like going to all these things that like doing all these things that rich white people do. And she was saying that if you want to work in tech, a lot of people work in tech go to Ivy League schools or like the top schools. And so she's like, I didn't go to an Ivy League school. And so if you want to hang out with them, she was like, first of all, they're all idiots. Like it doesn't, I'm not saying that to make it seem like you have to be so smart to do fucking marketing at or what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like it's like, it's a job. Anyone can fucking do it.
Right.
But she was saying like, like when they interview you, of course, there's like the regular basic Instagram questions or whatever, or like tech questions that a lot of people are prepping for. But a lot of times like a personality thing, and they asked me like, there was like some sort of riff that she had done about the Hamptons or something during her interviews, and it like perked their ears. They're like, oh, I go to this club in the Hamptons. Have you been to this restaurant?
Yeah.
And they like kind of vibed over this like rich white society thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's how I like got ahead, is because she didn't like, she went to NYU, but before that she went to like some UC school, like not even Berkeley, just like a regular UC school,
right.
And I thought that was a really interesting conversation, because I think a lot of immigrant kids, we're really focused on performance and test scores. And, you had mentioned earlier that one of your friends is prepping for a tech interview. He's kind of studying it like the SATs. And now if he's an engineer, then that's kind of it. But if he's not an engineer, there's sort of this like, you talked about like, you've been to like corporate retreats with your white bosses, you know what I mean? And like, I remember one time you talked about how you were stealing candy and putting it in your cargo shorts. That is the kind of the opposite of what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's funny to me.
Yeah.
And, maybe, and that's like our vibe, but like maybe to truly get ahead, like you're gonna have to take out those tater tots from your cargo pants and put them back. You know what I mean?
I will never take those tater tots out. Yes, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. But I think that's, there's so much to like kind of unpack as far as this story goes. And I think you're right. There's questions about student debt, which is just insane. I only started accumulating money, and I don't have a lot of money, but I only started accumulating it after I was able to pay off my student loan. And my student loan was very low because I went to a state school, but I still had it. And it took me 10 years to pay it off, of like focused paying it, right? I was like, because like for a couple of years I had to defer it because I didn't have a job. So like I had to wait. And that's 10 years of me not making money, like accruing money and just paying off this thing, right? So what if I had done the other way, where I was able to accrue the money first, right? And I didn't have the debt. because that would be, you know, just that much more ahead. I think that's a big thing. I think the whole idea about, you know, doing certain things in order to fit in and in order to really like get ahead is definitely real. Like as far as like fucking golfing, you know, like I see why people go golfing, because all of the senior management of this company, they all talk about golfing. And if you could even just talk about golfing for a little bit, you know, you can all of a sudden like one thing leads to another, and that's how you close the deal. You know, all that shit happens. You know, I'm sometimes I'm like, you know, should we just teach everyone how to golf? Is that how we're gonna get equality in this country? You know, maybe we shouldn't be, you know, like learning history. We should just all golf, and then everyone in America will be, oh my god, what's your handicap? Blah blah blah, and we're all on there. So I think that's definitely real. I don't know how your friend's gonna feel about this, but wildly privileged that you're able to do it because I think a lot of people know, you know, like, oh, I need to do this. I can't go to the Hamptons. I don't, even if I saved money or whatever and I didn't do all these things, I can't go, you know, like, here's one big thing. A lot of people, wouldn't be welcome there. That's one big thing.
Right.
Second, they just don't know how to get there. Like it's not, I know you can Google everything, but like, that's not as simple as that. You know, there's a lot of like doors that are not open. So to your point, I feel that, you know, Asian people sometimes can get into these things because we're a lot of us are sort of accepted at face value. I mean that literally, you know, like, oh, okay, it's cool to have these Asian people here. Not all the time. You know, there's definitely can be pushback in these certain white spaces, but I think you are definitely onto something as far as, you know, there's a inner circle, I guess you could say, and showing that you have the right things shows that you are like you've made it in certain ways or whatever. Like one of the biggest things, I mean, I've completely wasted my college degree 100%. But I will tell you that when I tell people where I went to school, they just give me a little bit of a break. They go, okay, you're not an idiot. They're wrong. I am a moron. They made a huge mistake, but you know, that little thing, you know, I've told this story before. When I moved out here, I realized that there's like really those old, you know that show like Succession or Billions, where there's like people who are like, oh yeah, Martha, my youngest one, you know, she might go to the San Francisco Ballet Company this year, but she's going to defer so she could volunteer in Africa, and that will really help her chances in getting into the UN. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole like web of connection and you know privilege gets thrown around a lot, but like, you know, the right people because you did the right things and you all were on the same fucking super yacht that was like you know, going around. You were snorting cocaine, the right kind of cocaine too, not the shitty cocaine from in Bushwick. The right cocaine. You know, so I think you're totally right. And you know, there are people, I think this is always fascinating to me too, Fumi, because you know these people from NYU, and really the value of NYU is that you know these people. You know what I'm saying? Because I went to I went to Berkeley. We are not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the people I know are very smart, but they didn't. They're not like, oh, now I'm like, you know, hanging out.
Not the networking type.
No, it's not even that. It's just like they did network, but we networked with each other, right? So we are all like the people I know are like, yeah, some of them work in tech and some of them are like that, but we're not tied into like an upper echelon of like, you know, wealthier people. Whereas I think in NYU, and I think this is true even at USC or other places like private schools, you know, you're surrounded by people who are like, you know, reasonably smart, but their real power is that the fact that like they can go to NYU, they can go to USC. And so that comes with, you know, it comes with a certain amount of like built-in power, you know what I'm saying? Because now you know these people. Who is that lady, the Aunt Becky? Let's just say this.
Something Laughlin?
Yes.
Lori Laughlin. Lori Laughlin. Yeah.
Okay, listen. This is hilarious. Let's say she got her daughter into that school, into USC.
Yeah.
Now, of course it's wrong. But let's say she got in there, and now you know Lori Loughlin's daughter.
Yeah.
The resources that Lori Loughlin has in order to break the system and let her daughter in, that daughter, you know how connected that daughter is? And if you became friends with her,
Yes.
now you're connected to Lori Loughlin, and she has no morals, as you know. And so she will, you know what I'm saying? That's the power of USC.
Dude, I totally agree with you, because earlier you're like, hey, a lot of people can't afford to go to Hamptons. I can't go. But here's the thing: she didn't pay for it. She met people who took her there, right? But that's what you're talking about. Boom. It's like because she comes from just like a regular immigrant family. They're not rich. She doesn't know, but just being around this city, that neighborhood, that community where it gave her access to impress people who can bring her to the Hamptons, show her these things, teach her these things. That is the real power.
Exactly.
That's absolutely right.
Then hey, listen, don't go to Berkeley, okay? don't go to these schools where everybody like got in out of merit. Go to the school where everybody paid to get their way in.
Yeah,
this is smart. Think about
this. By definition, NYU.
Go if they paid to get into that school, their parents got money. Later on, 4 years when you graduate, you hit up those parents for startup capital.
It is so crazy because like, okay, what was like the first thing freshman year that you remember that you were like, whoa, this is not like home? I don't care. I'm not limiting this to any category. Do you remember the first thing that kind of was shocking to you that happened to you in college where you're like, I guess we're not at home anymore? Because for me, it was when I went to my dorm and somebody was like, oh, you know who lives over there in that hallway? The girl who's in Gilmore Girls. And I was like, what the? I'm like, I'm from Ohio. What are you? What? There's a TV star?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. But that's a very NYU experience. You go in, just like, oh, this Korean pop star lives right there.
Let me, let me hit you with the Berkeley one. I was talking to, I was shooting this is like the first 2 weeks or first week of school. And I had met this girl through like the orientation program, like there's an orientation. And so we had known each other, and then we had like one class together. And so I was like, hey, I was shooting my shot, I was a freshman. I'm shooting my shot. I'm calling her. I'm talking to her on the phone. She seems very smart. She obviously went to Berkeley. And I'm like, hey, and then I hear like this little kid like in the background. And I'm like, oh, who's that? Is that your little brother? And she's like, no, that's my son. And I'm like, what? Now she's 18. She had this child when she was, younger.
Yeah.
That is Berkeley in a very, and I mean that in a good way. And I don't want to say bad, but like she worked super hard. She is she's raising, she has her family to help raise this kid, but she was a teenage mother, worked hard.
Yep.
Got to Berkeley. I remember seeing her later on.
That's insane that she got in, but having like, how does she have the time to study?
I know.
This is so crazy.
Later on, I remember seeing, because she actually graduated with the same degree as I did. She got honors. And she had her kid.
She did better than you.
She did better than me. She got honors with this kid. That is Berkeley. So Berkeley is like, I'm tough as fuck. I'm super competent. I know what the fuck I'm doing. And I'm bringing my family with me. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're competing against people who Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore Girls. It was crazy.
This is why I'm like, you can't say that people who aren't successful aren't smart or hardworking. There's a lot of people who are really smart and really hardworking. And there are many, many, many people who just have a daddy. That's what it is. I don't know what else to say. And yeah, sure, you're hardworking. I doubt you're as hardworking as my friend who fucking had a kid and got honors Berkeley. I doubt it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that doesn't really matter. So
yeah.
In the end, ultimately, just contribute to our Patreon page. That's what this all comes down to. Patreon.com/Asian.AsianPod. Yeah. Whether or not you went to USC with daddy's money or you went to Harvard as a scholarship, the money belongs to us.
That money belongs to us. And as you can tell from the podcast, I had the potential to tap into Hampton's white people, and I threw all of that away to hang out with single mom Mike.
You know what it is? I don't know if this is me, but like I think sometimes, to your point about how I shit on myself, I sometimes feel like, oh, maybe I'm not really a comedian because I'm not like, I'm not like touring or whatever, grinding at some weird show somewhere. but I always feel like I must be a comedian because I don't value anything. I mean, of course I like money, but I really value like just being a person who's like, really? This is how the world is? I always, that's, you know, and I feel other comedians are like that. Other comedians I know are like, really? This is what, no one's going to mention this, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is. So I, even if I do.
That's more important to you than like a boat, like a yacht.
I would,
right? As I said.
Listen, I will get on the boat, but then I will turn that into content, okay? Don't invite me on your super yacht unless you want to be on the Asian Not Asian podcast, Vladimir. Okay, so we're back with everyone's favorite segment. It is Das Race News.
Das Race News.
This one is a fire one. I mean, I don't think I have to tell anyone, but Sunisa Lee. You know, we have a headline here. I'll read this headline, but in general, it's, you know, Sunisa Lee. At the time of the recording, won gold in the all around, which is kind of like the, you know, the big thing for women's gymnastics.
She's a gymnastic person.
She's a gymnastics person. Sunisa Lee stepped up when Simone Biles stepped back. And this particular article is about, like, you know, Simone Biles. She wanted to take some time for her mental health, which is totally cool. That's her thing. And then so Sunisa Lee, she's Hmong American. She is, you know, we've had Brian Yang on, and he's Hmong. And Hmong people, they're like an ethnic group. They're like generally in Laos. They have like some crazy fucked up history with America. They they're like tough as shit. They essentially got abandoned by America. I mean, you know, I have a joke about Vietnamese people and America like teaming up and then America losing, which was a bummer for us. But at least a bunch of us like got to come to America and they kind of like settled us. But Hmong people, a lot of them, they got recruited to fight in a war, which is so gangster. And then the war went south, and they kind of got abandoned. And so over time, they've come over here. A lot of them have settled in Minnesota, in the Midwest. And so Sunisa Lee is Hmong, and she won. She helped win the silver medal for the team. Women's gymnastics.
Oh, the team didn't win gold. The team got.
The team didn't win gold. Russia won gold,
okay.
But the team, you know. So this episode, this thing is. I'll read it a little bit here. With Russia's women's gymnastics team leading by more than a point and Simone Biles abruptly out of the competition in Tuesday's team final, it fell to Sunisa Lee anchoring the United States on the uneven bars, which she's really good at apparently, to keep the Americans' gold medal hopes alive. They didn't get gold, but they did. They got second, and it's crazy too because you know Simone stepped away. A lot of these people, a lot of her other teammates had to like do the things that she was going to do without warming up. They just were thrown into that.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't even, I mean, if I stood up too fast right now, I would hurt myself. You know, I have to like warn everybody. I'm like, I'm getting up, everybody. You know, like that's me.
It wasn't like their specialty, right? Like people were just doing things that they weren't the best at. They were just like, it's kind of like if someone was like, hey, can you go do improv real quick? You know what I mean? It's like adjacent, but not something you
exactly
trained at.
Exactly. So, you know, they're all obviously very talented and amazing gymnasts and stuff like that. So it's just crazy. And then, of course, Sunisa Lee won the gold for the all around. I think she's still up for one more competition because she's really good at the uneven bars and I think the beam, balance beam. So it's just crazy. Like, you know, have you seen the videos of her family?
No, but I heard like Jenny Yang make a joke about how like there were like 1,000 people and they're all of her cousins or something.
Oh my god,
it's just all of her family.
This is really funny because like each night that they're competing, they show the family, and I swear each night the family gets bigger. It's like they're
making babies because
they're just
that exciting.
You know, they're out there. Okay, you know, shouts to all the Hmong Americans out there. At the last video I saw, there's like 100 of them. It was awesome. It was like it was crazy to see. And again, it's just like. This is that mind-boggling American thing. You think about the story. You couldn't write this story, okay? There's a people in Laos. They fight in a war sponsored by the CIA. They get abandoned in the war. They had to go to Thailand. Then they had to come to America. And then one of them wins the gold medal. It's fucking insane.
You know what's crazy though is I was reading that Sunisa also was performing very well at the last Olympics, but was kind of eclipsed by Simone Biles' success.
Yeah.
So I believe she was like got second place or something like that. Like she was still good, except like no one really paid attention to her because she wasn't number one.
Yeah.
And I think it's this is like a very I feel like this is an Asian thing. Is like I feel like I don't know. My parents growing up, I remember they were just like, I remember they would like tell me to be number two. Like they were just like, because their whole thing was like, number one is for Americans and they get very upset when you take their spot. So you can just be, you can be great, you can be really smart, but just be number two. I remember they were like, be like Toyota, because Toyota is number two in sales, I guess, at the time. And they were like, because my dad works in cars and he was like, just be like Toyota, just like be really good, be known, be reputable for your quality. And, people are like, oh yeah, Toyotas last like 30 years, He was like, just be that. But he was like, just don't be number one because you're going to upset the Americans. They love being number one, And it's interesting because in this case, like, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily like that with Simone, but she like kind of stepped down for like kind of a unexpected reason.
Yeah.
But like the number two, what's cool about the number two is always rated to be number one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The number two is maybe better than number one, but because she's always doing the homework. We're always putting her
she's
work
working
in.
hard, yeah.
But we don't get like the media attention because we're number two.
Yeah.
But it's cool seeing the spotlight on number two, only to find out that she's better, if not just as good as number one.
Right.
I feel like that's for me personally. I thought that was a very like Asian American thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so surreal to see. You know what I'm saying? Because like Brian Yang has a really funny joke where he's like, "Among American, and we come from the mind of Clint Eastwood."
Yeah.
Because it's like like I only learned about them more when I was in college and the people in the history, and I knew some of my friends were among, and now it's like people are going to know about this, and she's like, I don't know if she's the first. I think she's the first Asian American, right, to get a medal in gymnastics. I think she's the second Asian woman to win a gold individual or something like that. I think at all. So it's just like you go from again, to your point. I think she was just like doing the homework, just grinding, just doing her thing.
Yeah, just doing the homework.
Because Simone Biles was that good. She's like 10 points ahead of everybody else. But then when she had the chance, she could step up and do it, which I think can't be understated, because, I think when you're number two, sometimes you take the pressure off of yourself a little bit, because you're like, okay, well, I don't have to be the one because I just have to get to this thing. But, all of a sudden she had the shot, and how many people would have just been like shit their pants and just not even, been able to do it?
It's so funny because those like gymnastics people wear these like tight leotards, and I'm picturing you and I in one of them and just literally shitting our pants on national television.
Literally would have shit our pants.
Poop coming out of our thongs or whatever they're called. Just right onto the mat in Tokyo. It's for sure.
This is what we get for getting Mike Nguyen and Fumi Abe, two men in their 30s who have never done gymnastics. We shouldn't have put them on the team. What were we thinking? So thank God.
Oh my God! If we really did it, we wouldn't even get to the jumping board. We would just literally shit our pants.
We would just shit our pants.
And it would be over. Olympics is canceled.
The Olympics is canceled. And you know what? The warm-ups are white also, so that wouldn't have helped us, It's crazy. So
oh God.
Shouts to Suni, and that was crazy. I think I think she still has one more thing. Again, I haven't checked the news, so it's wild to see, and wild to see all these like fucking Hmong people. We gotta get Brian back on, talk about it.
Yeah, is there another Hmong comedian? I feel like Hmong people are having a moment right now.
You know what? That was another thing. I was like, you know what? Thank you for keeping the Asian, because we're always complaining about the Asian wave disappearing. We haven't. I don't know where Crazy Rich Asians 2 is at, but like. Yeah. Suni's the one keeping it going until
Suni is keeping it going
until the funding comes through. Suni's the one. She's like, how about some gold?
How about some gold?
How about some gold?
All right, well, everybody, that was our episode. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, please follow us on all the social media. We're on every platform at Asian Not Asian Pod. I'm also on there at the Fumi Abe. That's TheFumiAbe.
And you can find me on Instagram at Nice Pants Bro.
please check out our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Asian.AsianPod and give us your fucking money. You
Give us
fucking sick fucks. And oh, we have another Hack City show coming up on August 21st.
Yep.
And I will leave a link to the tickets in the episode description. I think that is it. I mean, I'm gonna be in LA by the time this comes out. So God, it's so sad. I only have like 4 shows in August. It's making me so sad. But if you want to come to one of the 4 shows that I have in August, I'll be posting about it on Instagram. Would love to see our ANOs out in the West Coast.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, stay safe. Fucking the mask mandate is back in LA, so that's gonna be kind of weird. But yeah, come check that out. I have a lot of shows, so hey, come check me out in New York City. Number 2 becomes number 1.
Oh shit! Fuck. Oh my gosh. All right, Anos, we love you. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye.